Texas, the Lone Star State, has always had a reputation for doing things bigger, louder, and with a bit more swagger than the rest. But in the last 20 years or so, it seems Texas has sort of upped the ante, becoming a veritable hotspot for everyone, from tech tycoons to cowboy wannabes to a handful of my ex-girlfriends. Not sure what that's all about, but the number sits at 6. So what's behind the surge in popularity? Is it the barbecue, the cowboy boots, the promise of an oil well in every backyard, or was I that bad of a boyfriend? That is what we're looking at today. Why did Texas become so popular, and will it continue? The appeal of Texas: bigger, better, and barbecuier. The Great Migration. There's a multitude of reasons why people would move to Texas. Some of the most important ones might surprise you, might not. But let's look at this first one as the Great Migration. People are flocking to and have flocked to Texas faster than tumbleweeds in a windstorm. Why? Well, it turns out Texas has a lot going for it. First, there's no state income tax. Whenever you say no income tax to someone, their ears perk up. Now, there's other taxes other places that are kind of high, we all know that, but no state income tax, it's almost like a selling point. In the end, your taxes might end up being the same as some other place, but when someone says there's no state income tax, or in Oregon's situation, no sales tax, that interests people. And if they don't look any deeper, all they know is they're not paying some tax that everyone else is. Now, you combine that with a relatively low cost of living in Texas, it's no wonder people have been packing their U-Hauls and heading south or east or west, wherever they're coming from. In fact, between 2010 and 2020, Texas gained over 4 million new residents, making it the fastest growing state in the U.S. during that time. Now, the state gained 4 million residents. Their birth and death rate was almost equal, so they gained 4 million people. Now, obviously, people are moving there for different reasons, but one of the biggest ones is job. They had a little tech boom. Move over, Silicon Valley. Here comes Silicon Prairie. Major tech companies like Tesla, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, and a few others have set up shop in Texas, lured by a business-friendly environment and a chance to wear cowboy boots to work without judgment. You can't do that in California. People stare at you like you're an idiot. Austin, Texas has become a tech mecca, with companies like Dell and IBM already calling it home. The tech influx have brought jobs, innovation, and an influx of hipsters trying to figure out how to work a lasso. In 2020 alone, the Austin area saw a 5.6% increase in tech jobs, outpacing the national average by a country mile. And it's not just the tech jobs or any other kind of job. Sometimes it's just the lifestyle, the food, things of that nature. Let's take a look at the food. Texas barbecue is legendary, and for good reason. It's delicious. The brisket is so tender it practically melts in your mouth, and the ribs are so good that you're licking your finger for days after you go to a barbecue. And it's not just the barbecue. Tex-Mex and pecan pie are just a few of the culinary delights that you'll find in Texas. Now, are people moving there for that one reason? No. But I'll tell you what, if you're making a list of 10 things or 10 reasons you want to move to Texas and 10 reasons you don't want to, food is going to be on the positive side. I saw a video about a guy who had been transferred by his job. Well, he's being transferred and he had two options, Minnesota or Texas. He chose Texas because of the food. You know, the whole lifestyle too. There's a bunch that goes into the lifestyle of Texas. One thing I like is how they always have the different festivals, including the Texas State Fair, which is held annually in Dallas, and it attracts over 2 million visitors who come to feast on everything from Fletcher's corny dogs to deep fried butter. Yes, it's a thing. And that all blends in with the Wild West vibe. There's something undeniably appealing about the idea of living in a place where you can don a 10-gallon hat and shout yeehaw without irony. Texas embodies the spirit of independence and rugged individualism. And for many, it's a chance to live their life in a way maybe they couldn't in their own state. Not saying like some cowboy fantasy, but there's just a lifestyle and an aura that goes with it. Much like you'll find in California. California's got a whole host of problems, but the lifestyle, for a lot of people, that's what they move there for. California has its own unique lifestyle, so does Texas. A couple other places that the lifestyle is very strong and it attracts people. Hawaii, obviously. New Yorkers. Not the entire state, but the city of New York. There's a lifestyle there and it draws people in just because of that. My favorite is probably the Key West lifestyle down in Florida. That draws people in. Not as many as I think the other ones do, but a lifestyle does get people to move to a certain area. And that whole Wild West thing, it's more of a touristy thing. It's just a thing with Texas. Go down to the Fort Worth Stockyard where you can witness a cattle drive twice daily and feel like you've stepped back into the Old West. They keep it alive there. Then, of course, there's the space. Texas is huge, like really huge. There's plenty of room to spread out, which is particularly appealing in the age of social distancing. Want a ranch with a couple hundred acres? No problem. Dreaming of a sprawling urban home with a pool? Texas has got you covered. The state covers 268,000 square miles, making it larger than Germany. And with all that space, there's room for everyone. Now, even though it's getting more and more expensive over the last handful of years, real estate is relatively reasonable in Texas compared to other popular states like New York or Massachusetts or California. Texas is not that bad. As of May 31st, 2024, Zillow reported the average home value in Texas is about $306,000, which is a 1% increase from the previous year. However, home prices can vary significantly depending on the regions of Texas you move to. For example, as of first quarter 2024, the median price in Austin was $546,000, while Lubbock it was $247,000. In Dallas, it was $318,000. Let's look at another state that is about as popular. California. Yes, believe it or not, people are still moving to California. It's only been the last 2 years that they've kind of evened out. That's because they have so many long-time residents leaving. But there are still a ton of people moving in California every single day. The average home value in California is $786,000. Now, Florida, still pretty popular, and they're relatively affordable, but they're not as affordable as Texas. Florida, their average home value is $398,000. Again, with both those states and with every state, it's going to vary by where you live in that state. But the average gives you an idea what's going on statewide. Even Idaho, a state that is often considered by people moving to Texas as an option. They're very similar in a lot of different ways. But their average home value is $460,000. That's about $150,000 more than Texas. Now, compared to what Texas was 10 years ago, yes, it has gone up significantly. But so has every place else. So we compare it to other states, not its history. Before we go on, let's talk about today's sponsor, Rocket Money. I recently found out I was being charged every month for the last 14 months for a second gym membership I haven't used in at least a year. Sure, I've driven by the gym on my way to the new gym a few different times a week, but I had no idea I was still paying. This set me on a mission. The other day I wasted about an hour trying to cancel different subscriptions. I found a whole bunch that I had. I have a lot of traveling coming up and I need to save some money. This helped out a lot. Well, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help with things like that. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I didn't have to waste all that time. Rocket Money can cancel things for you. I'm also using Rocket Money to set a budget. Rocket Money will analyze your spending habits and create a custom budget that works with your lifestyle. Automatically monitor your spending by category and get notifications when you've exceeded your limits. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/Briggs or click the link in the description area below to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/Briggs to get started for free. Back to the video. Will it stay popular? Now on to the million-dollar question. Will Texas continue to be the belle of the American ball, or is it destined for a fall from grace? This is a very important question because a lot of people think that Texas is over. You know, it's seen its peak. It's just going to go downhill from now on. This has happened to every other state that's got popular. I mean, California, almost 200 years of being one of the most popular states, is now slowly dwindling. Their popularity is gone compared to what it was, let's say, 10, 15 years ago or 80 years ago. Human beings migrate. They migrate to where they could find a better life. If you can't make it in your state, you're going to move someplace else. California represented that for a very long time. It's Texas's turn. Now, there's an argument that just about any state, like Texas, has been popular since forever. Well, yeah, true. But we're talking about when they go above and beyond everyone else in popularity. Texas has seen that. California did it for over 150 years, 200 years, whatever it's been. Depending on how you look at when California was a state, or we talking about, before it was a state, it's always been popular. New York had a couple hundred years of extreme popularity. Florida blew up in the 80s. Oregon in the 90s. And just like animals, let's say grazing animals that migrate to a prairie, they get there, they eat there for a couple years or a couple weeks, couple months, whatever the case may be, and they move on to more fertile land. It's what humans do. During the Great Depression, during World War II, everyone from the Midwest and the South headed to California for work. People just move to places where they can have a better life. Texas represented that for a very long time. Has it played itself out? Texas's growth has been impressive, but it comes with challenges. Infrastructure needs to keep pace with the growing population, and there's the ever-present issue of water supply in a state that's no stranger to drought. If Texas can manage these growing pains, it stands a good chance of maintaining its popularity. In 2021, Texas faced a significant power crisis during a winter storm, highlighting the need to improve the infrastructure to support its growing population. A lot of people don't realize when you have more people, you need more of everything. More schools, more police, more hospitals, more power plants, more sewage treatment facilities. There's some good and bad to these things. That means a lot of new jobs, a lot of new construction. Someone's got to pay for it, and it's usually the government. And it takes good management to make sure they don't overspend, which makes it unsustainable. The cultural blend. Now, demographics plays a big part in any changing landscape. As more people from diverse backgrounds move to Texas, the cultural landscape is evolving. It's how it works. This melting pot effect could either strengthen Texas's appeal or lead to some friction as the state grapples with its new identity. Now, if history is any indication, Texas will find a way to blend old with new traditions into something uniquely Texan. The food and the phrase Tex-Mex didn't just fall out of the sky. Cities like Houston, now one of the most ethnically diverse cities in the U.S., showcases how Texas can embrace change while maintaining its unique character. In my experience in Texas, this is just my own personal experience. Growing up in California and even here in Oregon, you can tell there's a difference in the communities. There isn't much blending. Now, there might not be a bunch of problems like some of the states that have more racist background or whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. But in my experience, Texas, there's a blend between, let's say, the Caucasian or white Texans and the Hispanic Texans. Now, that is just my experience. I've also talked to a few friends that have lived in Texas their whole life. The benefit of having Army buddies, they're just a Facebook message away. One guy, I asked him about the separation between the Hispanics and the whites in Texas, and he said, oh, it's really not as big a thing as it is in a lot of other states he's lived in. In his words, he said, in Texas, we have a lot of that country wisdom. There's kind of an attitude of, well, we got to live together, might as well get along. Now, I know the comment section is going to be ablaze with a bunch of people going, no, Texas, you have no idea. It's so racist. Not everyone thinks that way. Not even a majority of the people think that way. It just might be you. The climate. Let's not sugarcoat it. Texas is hotter than a jalapeno in July. The extreme weather, from scorching summers to the occasional ice storm, might be a deal breaker for a lot of people that move there or stop them from moving there. But for others, it's, part of the charm. They want that hot. They want that heat. After all, there's nothing like a good old-fashioned Texas thunderstorm to make you feel alive. Just remember to keep plenty of water and sunscreen handy. Texas summers are getting hotter, though. Since 2000, the number of days over 90 degrees has gone up by almost 10%. Some years it's less, some years it's more. Overall, over the last 24 years, I should say 20 because the study was done in 2020, it's up about 9.7%. So as it gets hotter, will this make people leave? Your guess is as good as mine. Political landscape. Texas' political landscape is as big and bold as the state itself. The ongoing tension between conservative and progressive ideologies could influence its future appeal. However, its very diversity of thought is also what makes Texas such an interesting and dynamic place to live. The recent swing in some urban areas towards more progressive policies highlights the state's evolving political landscape and the potential for continued growth and change. Now, Texas is changing. They have always been a solid red state. Well, in the last 20 years or so, it's not as solid red as it used to be, put it that way. A lot of people want to blame the Californians moving there and changing their policies and their politics. Well, you got to remember, of the people moving there, not everyone cares about politics. More than half of them don't even vote. And then if you were to look at the breakdown of the other half that actually does vote, they're not all just Democrats and liberals. Has it played a part in how Texas is, changing? Yeah, I'm sure it has. Not as significant a part as a lot of Texans want to believe. One of the biggest problems is more Texans, when they vote for the first time, they're registering as independents or Democrats more than ever before. I've seen different numbers, but it was about 54% back in the 1980s registered as Republicans. And then independents and Democrats together was only 46%. Again, different studies show different numbers, but in the last 20 years, between 40 and 44% have been registering as Republicans, while the rest are either Democrat or independent. So it's easy to blame outside influences, but in reality, the call's coming from inside the house. With that change, and if it becomes a purple state or even a blue state 30 years down the line, will people want to move there? Will more people want to move out of Texas? Only time will tell. So in conclusion, Texas has a lot going for it. Economic opportunities, cultural richness, and of course, amazing food. While there are challenges to be addressed, the state's unique blend of tradition and innovation makes it a compelling destination for so many Americans, and foreigners too. After all, everything is bigger in Texas, including its potential to remain a top destination for years to come. So grab your boots, your appetite, and maybe a hat. Texas isn't going anywhere when it comes to popularity, at least not for the next 20 years. Be nice to each other.